Well, we are looking at a hearing. So to start off with today's news of the day kind of thing, and this is, of course, video stuff that doesn't warrant its own video, but warrants discussion. Charlie McAvoy's going to have a hearing tonight. It's weird they said tonight, though. Why not this afternoon? They always have their hearings in the afternoon, don't they? Why would they say it? Anyways, tonight they're going to have a hearing with Charlie McAvoy, and we're going to find out what happens. I think he's going to get a game. I personally think he's going to get a game. And I know I've seen people say it, and I agree. If something's suspension worthy, you should be able to throw him out of a game for it. And a hit to the head, technically, can be both. It can be a suspension, but not warrant throwing a guy out of a game. I disagree with it as much as anybody else. That being said, we'll see what happens with that and whether or not Boston finds themselves short one of their top defensemen at the start of round 3 against the Carolina Hurricanes. As I speak right now, it sounds like Ken Holland's being made the official general manager of the Edmonton Oilers. I already did a video on reportedly set to become GM, so now it's official. I don't really need to do another video. There's not really a whole lot else to add to what I said before. Holland is going to be an interesting addition because he has never had to do what he's going to have to do with Edmonton. What he had to do in Detroit was take a team that was already successful and keep them there. And what he has to do with Edmonton is take a team that's been highly unsuccessful and build them up. It is a totally different setup. And going from an American general manager's job to a Canadian one means you go from being somewhat ridiculed at times to you are absolutely ridiculed at all times for everything you do. And here's the thing. If people are going to disagree with me on that, I'm trying to think of a general manager in Canada who doesn't take criticism. Like, that doesn't get criticized by the fans of that team. And even Kevin Cheveldayoff at times has had a lot of negativity thrown at him. Tree Living in Calgary, I think he's in pretty good shape right now because of the season they've had. But if they fall next year, being a general manager in a Canadian city is perilous. And Ken Hitchcock is reportedly out. So my guess is that Holland's coming in and saying, yeah, you can only have one Ken. It's me. So Hitchcock is out. I'm sure Hitchcock probably answered with, I can change my name to Keith. And they're like, we're not calling you Keith Hitchcock. I'll dye my hair black. No, we're not doing that. And Kyle Dubas is saying that Mike Babcock stays. So all of the media hype about how Babcock looks like maybe he's losing, or maybe he's not part of the long-term plan. Maybe he's not on board with whatever Kyle Dubas is doing. Turns out he's sticking around. So Kyle Dubas is going to keep Babcock as the coach of the team, and everything seems to be just fine because Babcock doesn't have an out. He's not really able to quit. The concussion settlement, so the concussion lawsuit between the NHL and a bunch of former players has reached its conclusion with some. There were 318 players that were eligible. 137 are taking a settlement. Minimum of $22,000 US to any player who qualifies. Up to $75,000 in medical treatment for players who qualify after neuropsychological tests. The NHL's view is, it's their fault. And players are saying, yeah, you guys kind of fudged it a little bit and hid as much research from becoming public as possible. And there is a whole playlist on this channel of the NHL concussion lawsuit and the things that they've done along the way, things that have come out. Just one thing that comes to mind is that there was a pamphlet put up in locker rooms about the effects of concussions and be careful and watch yourself, and the NHL made them disappear. So that's one of the things that players are pointing to, and not everybody's accepting it. Dan Carcillo, Nick Boynton are two notables of the recent hockey players who've retired who are suing the NHL, did not accept this at all. And families of Todd Ewan and Steve Montador are two examples of still going forward with lawsuits, not accepting this. This settlement will cost the NHL $18.9 million, and now they have to decide, since this lawsuit's been settled, how to go forward with individual lawsuits against the NHL. So this is not over. I can't just throw a video up in that playlist and go, hey, we're done. Because I don't think this subject is done, and I don't think it's going to be done for a long time. On to happier news, Pat Verbeek has left Tampa to go to Detroit and be with Steve Yzerman. There was speculation that a lot of the guys in Tampa who were close to Yzerman might follow him to Detroit, but apparently it's just Pat Verbeek. Apparently anybody else who's there will be keeping their jobs in Tampa, and they're happy there. So the exodus from Tampa hasn't been as strong as it could have been, and it'll be interesting to see what Verbeek's role ends up being with Detroit. I figure assistant general manager is doing that in Tampa as well. Always liked Pat Verbeek, and of course he played in Detroit towards the end of his career, so it works. Jarmo Kekalainen, 2 weeks ago. He's a genius. This is fantastic. They swept Tampa. He went all in at the deadline. This is great. Guess what? Boston knocks him out last night, and one of the first articles I see is questioning whether or not he made the right decision going all in at the deadline. This is how the media works. You're a genius one day, and you're an oaf the next. So Jarmo Kekalainen is going to get a lot of questions. Personally, I think that the fact that Columbus finally gets out of round one, I think that's a big storyline. And I think that psychologically for the team, for the organization, that's huge. They will have a lot of cap space this summer, but a quote from Paul Holmgren years and years ago was to go to cap space if people aren't going to take it. So the players that they would be losing are the big name free agents for this summer. So there's not a lot of guys that they can bring in that would be able to replace what they would lose should a majority of their big name free agents decide to walk. Jarmo, could he have got a lot for Panarin and Bobrovsky at the deadline? Sure. Would Columbus have made the playoffs? No. So is it worth it? I think it is. I do. You look at the number of home dates, the amount of money that the team made by playing in the playoffs. I think they made a lot more money playing in the playoffs than they would have if they hadn't. So, and you can sell a player coming in on the idea that we're building towards something. We got out of the first round. We want to build on that. We want to get to, our ultimate goal is the Stanley Cup, and we're bringing you here to help us with that. So I don't think it's going to be that bad, but at the same time in the East, man, it's a razor thin separation between being a playoff team and not. Don Cherry last night, I thought he kind of tried to make peace. So they were talking about the bunch of jerks thing, bunch of front running jerks t-shirts. He did give props to their marketing department for the bunch of front running jerks t-shirts. He didn't say that he should get some of the proceeds from that. That some of those profits should go to him, but he did give credit to Carolina for marketing this well. And then he had a throwback to Pavel Bure in his rookie year, where he called Pavel a weasel for a slew foot on Keith Tkachuk. So, he seemed to make peace with Carolina ahead of the series with Carolina against Boston, but he did seem to make peace with Carolina last night. And I don't know how much traction that's going to get in the media, because of course the media is going to pay more attention, even social media is going to pay more attention when it's negative than when it's positive. And what it sounded like he was saying was, you know what, I don't hate Carolina, let's just make it all just stop. I get it, it's fun, the bunch of jerks thing's fun, that's fine. Maybe after his last blow up where he called them front running jerks, maybe he sat down and looked at it, maybe he was watching something to do with Carolina and thought, you know what, I'm a little bit off on this, I should settle it down. Either way, kudos to him. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just tap it upon this video, and hey, this is the news of the day. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.